So basically what you are doing here, you are feeding the worms.
Yeah, we are feeding the worms.
That's the job you are doing.
Yeah, that is the job we are doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, today EcoFrontline Africa brings you a story of George Muturi, a young man 32 years of age who is in the business of feeding earthworms. He feeds millions of earthworms, and in return he gets a very good compost, which is organic fertilizer called vermicompost. Vermicompost is rich in potassium, it's rich in nitrogen, and it's rich in phosphorus. He started just with one bed, making 10 kilograms of vermicompost, and today he is producing 320 50-kilogram bags of fertilizer, which is organic, every single month. This is enough for 80 acres of land. Welcome, and let's see what is happening here.
So this bed here, if you look at it,
wow,
it's not full as compared to this.
Yes.
It looks like almost empty, but you can see there is some materials here. So this is a ready compost, which we have been harvesting. So my name is George Muturi Kamau from Comfort Worms. Comfort Worms, we are based in Rari, a village called Kaga, that is in Kiambu County. And in this farm, we have a number of things that we do, ranging from now this unit, that is vermiculture and vermicomposting. We are into black soldier fly farming, azora and duckweed. Also, we have livestock animals. We have pigs, rabbits, chicken, and fish. So that is all about Comfort Worms. So I started my journey in vermiculture and vermicomposting back in the year 2014. That is when I learned about rearing of earthworms. So back then I had a challenge of raising my chicken, the challenge of feeds, commercial feeds, the cost. So I was looking for options. What could I use to feed my chicken as an alternative feed? So I came along a feature that was talking about using worms to feed them as chicken feeds. So that is how I learned about vermiculture. Then I started back then in the year 2014, just in small bits. So I started with one bed. I bought 10 kgs of worms. Then I started from there. After some years, around 3 years, I learned that the issue of using worms as feeds for chicken, it was a good idea because they are high in protein, but commercially, it's not really viable because you find that the rate of reproduction of the worms, it's not quite high. So I felt that it was not giving me what I wanted. So that is when now I got into the other bits of farming, the black soldier fly and the duckweed. So that is when now my journey of vermiculture started. And then in the year 2018, 2019, that is now when I learned also I wrote on the internet, YouTube, and I learned about now vermicomposting, using the same worms that I had to now turn waste into organic fertilizer. So I started my plans of expansion. I did a lot of trials, training farmers, seeing if I made this compost, will they buy into it, or is it viable? Also using the same in this farm to see how is it working. Gradually, now we have been able, now we grew from the one bed, we grew to 4 beds, and then now currently we have grown to around almost 300 beds. So that has been our journey of how we started, how we have grown, and how still we are growing, because we are still growing. To get the compost, one, there are a number of things involved. One, to get the raw materials, the right structuring, to get the right information in terms of how do I keep the worms, what do they feed, what do they not feed on. So these are the things that are involved.
So basically what you are doing here, you are feeding the worms.
Yeah, we are feeding the worms.
That's the job you are doing.
Yeah, that is the job we are doing. So now we come with the raw materials, or with the feeds for the worms. And this involves a number of items, ranging from cow dung, or any other type of animal droppings apart from chicken. Then plant waste. So plant waste we categorize into two. We say it's either dry matter or green waste. And also on the same, we have to look at, if we are looking at green waste, which kind of green waste are we looking into? But ideally, we must have those three items. So animal waste or animal droppings, green waste, and dry matter. So once we have this in place, that is now what we are going to come and feed the worms. So then we have to make sure that our worms are in certain units or beds. So we call them beds or bins depending on the kind of materials we are using. So in our case, we are using the bed system. So in the bed, we have to, now this is where we are going to bring in the cow dung and the materials, the other plant waste, and then now we introduce the worms there. So now from the bottom, we have the dry matter. Then now, second, we bring in the cow dung up to the top. Then now after like a week or 2 weeks, now we come in with the green waste, we put it on top.
Okay.
So now we are going just to shred it, we put it on top, then it will just start breaking down, they start feeding.
Yeah, what are the ratios?
10% dry matter, 10% green matter, then 80% cow dung. So cow dung takes up
the bigger junk.
The bigger, yeah. Like for the green matter, there are a number of specific that we use. We use mostly Tithonia diversifolia, Russian comfrey, amaranth, Rantana camara. So those are some of the
common vegetables.
Yeah, the common vegetables. And others are weeds. Right now the Tithonia we use it just for fencing around here.
Okay.
Or it's sheep feeds.
Yeah.
So such kind of materials which we use as green waste.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it's not good to introduce chicken droppings in this.
Yeah.
What could be the reason?
So the reason as to why we don't use chicken droppings is the issue of pH. So
the acidity.
The acidity levels. And also if we, naturally, for the farmers who have chicken droppings or who use, they know that the temperatures for the chicken droppings gets to go high. So now those two things makes it us to disqualify using chicken droppings for vermicomposting here. So once we do that, we will give our worms enough time. So now enough time ranges from 1.5 months to 2 months. These were just fed this week. So in the next 2 months, now they will be ready. After 2 months zikiisha, now that is when now we are going to come
separate
and now harvest. So they start feeding from the top. That is why you see the worms are here on top. So this bed here, if you look at it,
wow,
it's not full as compared to this.
Yes.
It looks like almost empty, but you can see there is some materials here. So this is a Revolutionizing, which we have been harvesting. So this one now is ready. Just that now the only thing that is different, you find that in our parameters that we look at in terms of texture, moisture, and color, the moisture retrobit is a bit high.
Okay.
So we have not saved this just because of the moisture. But now in a few days, once it loses the excess moisture, we are now going to sieve it. Then now we feed them again, because all these now, the worms here, they are just waiting to be fed.
So you are feeding almost 1 million worms.
Yeah, we have
in this unit.
Yeah, in this unit, because we have ideally we have more than 1.5 tons of worms, and that is in terms of kgs, 1.5 tons. Ideally, the numbers are upwards of 4.5 million. So the lifespan of the worms is from 3 years, 3 to 5 years, depending on the conditions. So if kept well, that is in terms of you make sure that they have enough food, you do not feed them feeds with excess moisture, the feeds do not have high pH, so the worms will just be there for even up to almost 5 years. So once we do that, we will give our worms enough time. So now enough time ranges from a month and a half to 2 months. So now within this period, the worms will have broken down, or will have eaten and excreted now our final product, which now is the organic fertilizer. So now during the period of breakdown, one, we do not do a lot. So our work mainly is during feeding and sieving. In between there, the only activities we do much is just scouting, going around, seeing whether the worms are breaking down, are there predators, is everything is okay, are temperatures okay. So that is the activities that we do. But in between there, we do not turn the compost, because ideally that is the activity of the worms. So they will eat, they will break down, so our work will just be feeding them and harvesting and then feeding them.
So at what point do you determine that your vermicompost is now ready so that you can separate it from the worms and the worm eggs?
So now there are a number of indicators that we look at for us to make to say, other than the 2 months which I've mentioned, we have to look at other indicators, because we can take up to the 2nd month and it's not yet ready. We have to look at texture, the moisture, and the color. So those 3. So if we look at our texture and feel that it's very fine, it's loose, so now we can first say that is our first indicator is correct, it's ready. Then the other one is moisture. So now our moisture during feeding, normally if we squeeze our raw materials, they should give some droppings, drops of water.
Okay.
So if we squeeze out and see that it does not give us water, and when we release it, it breaks down, we are sure that now the second indicator is okay. Then now the color, mostly we feed our materials in different, because dry matter we say it's brown. Then the manure, mostly it's a bit of greenish, and also the green matter. But now during the final, when we are looking at the final product, we say it's a dark brown. So if we look at that and say it's okay, then now also we are sure now if the 3 indicators are okay, now we can now come separate the worms and the compost. Then now we restart the process again. Yeah.
So why do we have to use dry matter and still green matter? Why do we have to use both?
So all these materials comes in with different nutrients. So we are looking to have a balanced kind of compost, so that we do not have a lot of nitrogen and we don't have any carbon in it. So that is why we are doing a mix. Okay. So for example, if the reason as to why we are doing a lot of brown matter, we are looking for carbon. Okay. The reason we are doing green matter, we are looking for nitrogen and phosphorus and the like. So we have to have to look at that, and also manure, the cow dung. We are looking to have a balance, because cow dung will have like almost all of them, but now in raw quantities. So that is why we have to do a mix of these items.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Indeed, scientists have pointed out that vermicompost and synthetic fertilizers such as NPK offer different approaches to plant nutrition and soil health. On one hand, vermicompost is a natural, organic choice with potential benefits for the soil. On the other, synthetic fertilizers provide rapid nutrients availability directly to the crop, but leaves behind negative impacts on soil health if not managed carefully.
Then at the end of the 2 months, we come now, we remove everything from the worms, the final compost. If anything was not composted, also we are going to remove it from the bed, so that now we can bring it to the sieve, where now we are going to sort out. We are going now to separate the worms, the compost, everything. We now do the sieving, so that now we can have the final product, the compost on one side, then the worms goes back into the system and we feed them again.
And that sieving, will it save the eggs?
Yes.
Yeah, it saves the eggs because of the size of the mesh.
Okay.
And how it rotates.
So now,
yeah,
the fertilizer is separating itself, and the worms
are coming down there.
are coming right here. Fertilizer is down there. No wastage.
So now the worms can't die because the sieve is friendly, so it won't kill. They can't kill the worms. So now we just
Harvest the worms.
correct the worms and return them back. If we wanted the worms for sale, so we just do the same.
It's business.
Hapa kuna pesa bwana.
Yeah. So it has to be red worms or African night crawlers, but now red worms are the easiest in terms of management, how they reproduce, how much they break down. So that is why we have selected red worms and using the African night crawlers. So African night crawlers are good for the breakdown, but management, they are a bit expensive in terms of the management, how you take care of them to confine them. For the red worms, once you feed them, they have enough food, they are comfortable, they won't go anywhere. So that is now the advantage of the red worms. So we just return them back in the same bed. Then now we will just prepare food for them, then come and feed them. So that is how we ensure that the process continues and lands. Our vermicompost we are able to sell to farmers within Kiambu, Nairobi, and even other counties. And we are doing this because when we started, we got some demand from a few farmers around. And then upon training, doing more trainings on the social media, we found that the demand was huge for the compost. So we are able now to supply even within other counties.
So how many bags? We are talking of 50 kilogram bags, yeah?
Yeah.
How many bags will one require for 1 acre of land?
So in 1 acre, we are doing at least 4 bags, depending on what you are planting. Yeah.
So will 4 bags now, once you plant with it, you need to top dress or do all other things that we do with the synthetic fertilizers?
So now there are different approaches because the farmers we are dealing with, some are just doing conventional farming. They are not specific to organic or inorganic. But we have those who are specific to organic. So those who are specific to organic, they are using the compost both for planting and even for top dressing. Those who are not specific, they can do their normal planting with the vermicompost. They can top up a little bit of their synthetic fertilizers. So it's not confined that you use just vermicompost and vermicompost only. Poa. So here we have a number of items. So in this farm it's a mixed farm. One thing that I would mention is that it's not cheaper. Because you feel that it comes in as an addition of whatever the farmer is using. But now we are looking at a number of other things. Because now we are looking at production, because you feel the farmer is doing their synthetic fertilizers, but now their production is going down. So now this comes in to try and heal your soil in terms of the soil texture, the pH, the nitrogen, carbon, the organic matter. So it's a bit expensive, but now the advantages that it comes with, they are much better than just using the synthetic fertilizers. So in the long run, you find that the profit at the end of the day will go higher.
Where do you get your manure from?
So my manure, I'm able to get it from farmers around, around Kaga. So
cow dung mainly?
Yeah, cow dung mainly. And the rest of the plant waste, we get it just from within here. The market is huge. The market is huge. So I can't confidently say that I'm satisfying the market. Because
with 16 tons?
With the current production of the 16 tons thereabout, we find that we are not really satisfying the market within. Yeah, yeah.
What is the major threat? What are the predators for the worms?
So the predators for the worms, one is just the common, just like we were saying, that the hairy bat catches the worm. So the first predator is the bird.
Birds?
Yeah, birds. And we are able to control these with just the structuring bit. If we do the right structuring, we are able to deal with the birds. The other thing is that worms are photosensitive. So whenever there is light or during the day, the worms will go down. So the birds won't be able to catch a lot of them. So that is one. Then the second one are the safarians, siafu. That is a major threat. Because now if the safarians get to be in your unit or in your bed and you don't realize that they can eat up all everything there. So that is another threat that we look at very keenly, and we try to use just methods that are naturally used by farmers around there. We use ODG oil. We do within our structure. There is a way that we have put in plates or containers at the base of the stand. So we put in oil there so that now we can be able to control and make sure that they do not get in.
What does it take for one to start this kind of a project?
So at first, the training bit, getting all the information required, that is in terms of structuring and all that, because we can do a bed, you can do a trough, so different materials can work. So in my case, I started with just one bed, which I introduced 10 kgs. And now later on, currently we are almost at 300 beds, so which are serving us for that purpose. So it requires a number of figuring out, because I really don't want to confine a farmer to a specific kind of structure. So we look at a farmer and say, if you have these kind of materials, you can be able to set up a unit. So it all depends on what can you be able to set up. So that is the big determinant.
How many farmers are you able to train in a given period of time, say 1 month?
So within a month, because we are able to train farmers even outside there. So farmers at times come here for the trainings, at times we go out there. But on average, we are able to train at least 50 farmers on a monthly basis.
Okay. Where do you see this project in the next 5 years?
So in the next 5 years or more years to come, one thing is I'm looking at first is growth. And this growth comes in as in a point where there is a lot of waste that is being produced, both from the farms, people who are in homes. You find that this kind of waste, we are able to manage that. So with a lot of waste comes in our service of producing more compost. So I feel that in the next 5 years, we will have grown to produce more tons and even to serve more farmers and to support more farmers.
That is what we had for you today. Until next time, goodbye.